Hey skiers, I'm Jeff from SkiEssentials.com. I have been spending a lot of time on these Candide Resort 101s this season. It's been really interesting. I know a fair amount of people have been frustrated with availability, and just know that we share your frustration. We've kind of been left in the dark a little bit on their availability and arrival, but I didn't want to completely waste all the time that I've been spending on them. I know that people are still interested in them. I know we will get them eventually. There have been a couple drops in Europe already, so hopefully this information is still relevant. And it's been a really interesting start to the season here in Vermont. At first it was just fantastic, and then now we're kind of in a little bit of a thaw cycle. But what comes along with that is I've definitely skied them in every snow condition imaginable. So I think I'm well prepared to give my take on these skis. The one thing we don't have yet is jumps. So I haven't hit a ton of park jumps on them, but I can still pretty confidently give an opinion on that, and I will later in the video. So we're gonna navigate the holiday crowds here, finish our run, and then we'll meet you back in the studio. And I've prompted Bob to plan to ask me lots of Candide questions, so maybe we'll do a little Q&A session on Candide 101. So yeah, wish us luck on this run, and we'll talk to you in a little bit. Hey skiers, here we are back in the studio. Today was certainly not the best day that we've had so far this ski season.
Was it the worst?
No.
All right.
It wasn't the worst.
Somewhere in the middle.
But the combination of thin snow conditions and thick holiday crowds made that run pretty interesting. And yeah, this is really interesting. I know that I mentioned it in that intro that we shot up on the mountain this morning, but full disclosure, we've been working on this review for a while. We kind of heard from our rep group, not from Candide Skis directly themselves, that they were on their way. This was 3 weeks ago, I want to say, maybe a month ago.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot of time on these skis for the purpose of putting this review together, and skis haven't arrived yet, which is a bummer. We haven't had an update in a little while, but I just felt like we needed to put it out there.
I mean, it's still a good story.
I think so. Yep.
We're gonna get them.
Yep.
Still should tell the story.
Yep. But something that I was thinking about is it was actually nice for me to get back on them this morning, because I've been skiing other stuff more specifically in the last 2 weeks.
Right.
So it was a nice refresher for me personally. And yeah, here they are. This is the Candide Skis Resort 101. We did that announcement video back on November 7th, and we did talk about construction and shape in that video. I thought it was probably worth doing a quick refresher.
Sure.
So in this ski, pretty simple construction. Would you agree?
Yeah, especially when compared to something like Solomon or Vocal, that's really putting a lot of different technology in their skis.
Or like Playmaker 101.
Yeah.
That's one of the skis that like my mind goes to. That's like there's more going on in the construction, more just different elements. This ski has a poplar and paulownia wood core, so a nice mix of wood there. This ski is 1,800 grams in the 184, so keeps it pretty lightweight. And then there's a laminate that's essentially a blend of fiberglass and carbon. And that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah, for the internals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that's really cool is it's got this textured top sheet, Corund, I believe it is called.
Yeah.
Corund. And I've legitimately skied these a lot at this point, and no top sheet chips whatsoever.
And as we found out this morning, it is a very efficient displacement material for shooting snow off the tails.
I think that's more a result of the shape of the tail.
This helps.
You think so?
I think so.
It's like shooting it right off the ski.
It like accelerate. The snow accelerates off the ski.
Oh, I like it.
Really impressive.
I like it. So you could use it as like some sort of like snow weapon.
Yeah.
At least snow defense technique.
I know, no one's getting around you.
But yeah, no, I do think it's a pretty simple construction overall. And the result is, in my opinion, a pretty soft flex pattern.
Yeah.
Tips and tails are exceptionally soft, like just right at the end here. And I think that's really important to the ski's performance, for better or for worse. And we'll talk about all those reasons when we get to it. But yeah, like soft and then pretty snappy. There's like a lot of longitudinal energy in this ski, and that all comes from that construction. So pretty cool.
Yeah, and, full sidewalls, that's,
Yeah.
except for the very, very tips. But
I think it's still like, I mean, it's not like it's cap. It's just
Right.
it's so thin
not
up
as
here
thick,
that there's not any sidewall left to fit in there.
Right.
So yeah, that's it for construction. And then taking a look at shape, I would say shape is probably the most interesting thing if you're comparing it to construction. There's like kind of more profound things in the shape. So to start, it is a twin tip, and it's a rocker camber rocker twin tip. Decent amount of tip rocker up here, and again, I think that's like really important to this ski is how much tip rocker it has. There's 2 millimeters of camber underfoot, which is not much.
Right.
And then very similar amount of tail rocker as tip rocker. Not quite as long. 2 mount points on here. There's the regular mount point and the Candide mount point. I've been skiing on the Candide mount point. That is about 3.25 centimeters back from true center, and then the regular is another 4 centimeters back. So it's not like a fully symmetrical ski, but it's pretty darn symmetrical in side cut dimensions, 129, 101, 125. So 4 millimeter difference in tip and tail width.
Yeah, and if you take the rocker profile, which is right there as well, like it's pretty symmetrical.
Yeah.
Yeah, just overall in all aspects.
Yep, and then to me, the most interesting thing about this ski's shape is the triple radius.
Yeah.
So I'll give you that one back, Bob. The shovel of the ski, so essentially right here, is an 18-meter turn radius.
Like pretty short, especially for as far as shovels go.
And visually, like, it's the rockered portion.
Right.
Which is very interesting.
Yep.
And like basically makes it so the ski can't do a few things, which like I just find fascinating the more I ski this. Underfoot or through, I would say most of the ski is a 30-meter radius.
Yeah, and this is one of those things that you can see.
Totally.
Like this very much a flatter spot in the middle of the ski when you're looking down it.
Very flat, very straight. And then 20 in the tail.
Yeah.
So tightest up here in the shovel, very, very long underfoot, and again, tight, but not as tight in the tail. So fascinating shape. I've been skiing these exclusively. We don't normally do reviews where it's like only my feedback.
Right.
But I feel like last spring we established that this is more of a Jeff ski than a Bob ski.
Yeah,
So
that's very fair.
I think this works. And if you're curious, yes, the last time you saw us with these skis, they had demo bindings on them. Yes, I pulled those demo bindings off and I put a marker jester on it. Bob, why did I put a marker jester on these skis?
Well, I did not include that in my questions because I felt like you were going to address it.
I'm asking you. Do you know the answer?
Well, it's because what Candide uses.
Correct.
But why doesn't he use a pivot?
I don't know.
Oh.
There are plenty of skiers out there that prefer, especially in the park world. There are a lot of people like just have fallen in love with the Marker Royal family and like they don't stray from that. And I think Candide, I mean, seemingly he's one of those skiers.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
No, I think the jester's great. I trust. There's a lot of bindings that I trust and would happily ski, regardless of our fondness for pivots. So jester is one of those bindings, and it was really fun for me actually to kind of ski a ski with a jester on it. Like, it's a very strong binding. Something that I really like about the jester or any Marker Royal family is like how vertical the spring and the heel piece is.
It gives you a nice feeling, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Like clicking in, like, or if you look down at your skis, you're like, yeah, that's solid.
Yep.
So that was really cool. I also just like, it's fun, like as a park skier, the blunt toe piece.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but like visually, it like
it's less material to look
like
at.
Looks cool. Yeah. So that was fun for me. So anyways, just thought I would mention that, is that's why you're seeing a jester on here. And it was kind of nice to be able to take the opportunity to say, Bob, you're probably not going to ski these that much more. I'm going to take the demo binding off and put a real binding on here.
Works for me. I probably would have wanted to put it back on the non-Candide line anyway.
I know, exactly. That's why this worked out well. So I know you gathered some questions for me.
Yep.
Before we get to there, do you want to just kind of go through our normal groomer assessment, off-piste assessment? Or do you have any questions that would integrate well into those conversations?
Let's see.
Integrate.
I have something that resembles that question. If you want to wait until that comes up, I bet it would go in pretty seamlessly.
In groomers?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
So, do you want me to just start off the cuff my assessment on groomers?
Yes.
They're very interesting.
And then I'll be able to kind of alter my question there.
Great.
So yeah, go ahead with your groomer.
They're very interesting.
Yeah.
I find this ski extremely energetic in an up and down format. They are not energetic laterally. It's fascinating. So, like, I found myself, even on a groomer, like, ollieing and, like, popping constantly. Because there's so much energy in the tail of the ski that, like, even just on a flat, boring groomer, you're like, yeah, I think I'll jump over here. I think I'm going to jump over here. I think I'm going to go in the air over here. I'm going to pop off this, pop off this, pop off this. And they're things that, like, I wouldn't have even visually noticed that I could pop off if I was on a different ski. So that is really, really interesting to me. The thing that they don't do particularly well on a groomer is carve, depending on your expectations.
Like if you're expecting a tip and rip type of performance.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're kind of staying in this 100 millimeter category, like a Black Crow's Justice. I know it's a different construction, but
yeah, I was going to say it's the opposite of the Unleashed 98.
Right. When you put the thing on edge, this does not go laterally across the fall line.
No, it's very interesting. So the word that I would use to describe it on a groomer is delicate.
Yeah.
When it comes to carving, it kind of like, so the concept is really cool. Like the further that you're tipping this ski up on edge, the shorter the radius should be in theory.
Yeah.
If you're riding a flat ski, because the shorter radii are in the rockered sections of the ski, they're not doing anything.
Yeah, you don't hit it.
No.
Yeah.
So then you're just skiing a 30-meter twin tip.
Right.
Which on a groomer, a 30-meter twin tip is kind of weird.
Yep.
You know, it's like gonna go straight a lot. It doesn't like, it just doesn't feel tremendously dynamic. And then like what's really interesting is the tips and tails are really soft.
And I think they're soft longitudinally, and I think they're soft torsionally as well. I would love to have our friends from Sooth Ski come and put it on their twist machine.
Yep.
But I would venture a confident guess that they are not tremendously torsionally stiff as well in the tips and tails. So what happens is you're like doing this like interesting dance of like higher edge angle, but really precise weighting. Like you have to have like impeccable balance on this ski to get it to carve. And if you're trying to carve on this ski like a mantra, you just blow right through the shovel, and it like you just wash out and kind of just plows. So it's like super interesting. And I feel like somebody that's really heavy would have a harder time. I can make them carve, like I think pretty well. I think watching some of the footage back, like there's some nice turns in there. But what I found is because of the limitations for torsional stiffness and grip, you could only do that on true pack powder.
Yeah.
As soon as the ski was like encountering any really firm snow, it didn't like it. And then there's that footage of like making just skidded turns down a frozen center line, and you can see the ski just vibrating.
Yeah, it's moving.
And I could feel it. And like that, so I think that's like a good visual of its limitations. But skiing groomers is not all about carving. A lot of it is making short turns on the side of the trail. For me, a lot of it is skiing switch, doing 180s, switch 180s, just playing and jibbing. And like, that's the mentality that you have to have with the ski on a groomer, is jibby and playful, not carvy.
Yeah, and you're getting your vertical benefit out of the shorter turn radius in the tail.
And like the snap.
Yeah, but when you're loading up that tail, that's what's giving you
like out of a car,
that
like
energy
whoop.
out, which makes total sense given the blend of build and shape here.
Yeah, so pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think so too.
What's your groomer question?
I didn't have a groomer question. It was, this is going to be incorporated into a broader resort discussion.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
It has a limitation on a groomer, but like, who cares?
Right.
There are literally hundreds of skis that are designed to carve well. Not everything needs to carve well, but that is certainly a limitation of the ski. And I would say the heavier that you are and the more aggressive that you are in a directional format, the quicker that you'll find that limitation.
As first-hand knowledge, you are 100% correct. Like the harder I tried to push it,
the worse
laterally,
it felt.
the worse it felt.
Yeah.
But the flatter I kept it and the straighter and the more mobile I was and kind of going with the terrain, the more success I had.
So it's sort of like, I expected it to be a little better on a groomer, but that's fine, because I think when you switch to talking about soft snow and off-piste conditions or off-piste terrain, it surpassed my expectations.
Okay.
So like the thing that visually makes me nervous about this ski taking it off trail is the lack of early taper.
Sure.
So, and especially being a 184 with a relatively centered mount point, there's a lot of ski behind you all of a sudden. And that can be a lot to manage. You know, it's like it's like a whole nother thing you got to think about is the ski going to come around behind me? I am blown away at how effortlessly this ski slips around behind you. And I weirdly give a lot of credit to that 30-meter radius underfoot. Because if you're keeping it flat, that is so easy to break free. And then for whatever reason, I just think they kind of nailed the rocker profile. And it just like, it doesn't ever feel catchy, which to me was surprising and counterintuitive.
Yeah, well, we talked about when we did the overview kind of how Candide pushes through the heels and uses the tail end of the ski.
Yeah.
You know, when he's carving a turn, you can really see the tails of the skis come around and across the fall line. And so obviously that's something that he's taking from his skiing stylistically and incorporating it into the design, which I think is really interesting.
No, it's super cool. And like, you know, it's light. It's 1,800 grams for a 184. So the swing weight is really light. So it's not like fatiguing.
Right.
Like I skied kind of that like skier's right side of hayride like multiple times on this ski. And like that can be kind of demanding, fatiguing terrain.
Yeah.
It's like tight and then
challenging.
like frozen
Yep.
stuff, and it's just like a little weird. Like
It's rarely awesome and effortless.
yeah, exactly. And every time I skied that little pitch, I was impressed and reminded how effortless this ski is
Yep.
in those situations. I would say what it doesn't particularly like is hitting firm stuff
Yep.
when you're off piste. Is with this weight and with the just responsiveness that comes along with a ski that's made of carbon and that's this light, it can get deflected, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, they're like the skis that don't get deflected are like 2,200 grams.
Yeah, and
You
they're
know, like an
yeah,
Enforcer
they're
104,
difficult.
not going to
Yep.
get deflected. That thing just plows through anything.
Yep.
So it's a give and take scenario, but again, pretty interesting. Floats really well. Like that was something that again like surpassed my expectations in soft snow, is the amount of float that you get really through like this portion of the ski.
Yeah.
And it just gives you like a lot of confidence. There was that one moment when I overestimated the ski's ability and went over the handlebars a little bit. But
When I ran over you?
yes, when
Yeah.
you ran over me, I'm fine. Everything's fine. But that was more my fault. I was just blindly jumping.
You can
into
blame it on the
into
ski,
a
it's
pocket of
fine.
snow. Well, I mean, there's not like limitless.
If you were on something stiffer, or if you were on...
Yeah, if I was on something stiffer, it
Something
would have been
stiffer, it
fine.
would've
If I
been
was on an Enforcer 104,
Yeah.
I would have just skied right out
Yep.
of that. So, yeah, there's a limitation, I suppose. But yeah, good float. It's just not really like, it's not an off-piste charger. And this is a conversation I've had with so many people, usually like one-on-one at the mountain. People see them on my feet and ask me a lot of questions about them. And so many people come up to me and they're like, that thing must rip. Like, are you just
Yeah.
straight lining through moguls? And I'm like, no, I'm not Candide.
Right.
Like, he's so small, and he is like the best skier in the world when it comes to doing that kind of stuff. Like, Candide has kind of like carved a niche in the sport for himself, and like he's the best at doing that. So he's stable as a skier. He has incredible balance, and he's lightweight, and he's an incredibly gifted athlete. So like the ski itself is not like designed to charge and straight line through
Yeah.
moguls. That happens to be something that Candide can do. I do think the backcountry 111 can do that better.
Yeah, there's more opportunity there.
Yeah, that
for
ski
that
just
type of
feels a
skiing.
little bit more robust
Yeah.
throughout its overall experience. Last thing that I want to talk about, and then you can ask me all sorts of fun questions. Really good in the park. I knew it would be. 184 is kind of a long ski for me in the park. I used to ski a 185 Soul Rider all the time. Getting old.
Miss it.
No, I'm just getting old. I switched to a 177 Soul Rider before they stopped making Soul Riders. But I'm very impressed by this ski's performance in the park. It is not truly center mounted. Most of my personal park skis, I tend to prefer being center mounted. This ski feels balanced, and it feels very, very light. We've got a little like rail hike park, and I hiked a bunch of rails, and I was pretty surprised. Like I did a lot of like double switch up type tricks, which for me on a 184 at 37 years old, I have to feel pretty good about like being able to do that, and I have to give the ski a lot of credit.
Yeah. Because normally it's like exponential swing weight as you get farther away.
Exactly.
So that's a nice testament to how they keep the tips and tails.
And like, you know, again, like Unleash 98 is a good comparison. I have a 180 Unleash 98, and that ski feels heavier in park application than a 184. Kind of a bummer that we don't have park jumps right now, but I know that this ski is awesome. I jumped on it a little bit last spring, and it pretty much has like all the necessary ingredients for a park ski or for a jump park ski. It's not going to be catchy. You know, that same lack of being catchy off-piste, that's going to come through on takeoffs, landings. For me, it's particularly switch takeoffs. Like, it's still going to visually be intimidating just from the length, but I feel like I have the knowledge in the back of my mind that it's not going to catch. And then I really enjoyed their combination of being pretty light, but like at least in the central portion of the ski, it's strong enough that like landings feel good.
Yeah, a
So,
mix of support.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty ideal like jumping ski. I suppose like maybe you could argue that it's a little wide for like a competition level park ski,
Yeah.
but that's really not what it's intended to be.
Right.
So great park ski, not really very good at carving, great off-piste, great at skidded turns, great at jibbing and stuff like that. And like I can't like stand here and say that it's my favorite twin tip.
Sure. I
Like-
mean, and that's totally fair. Like, it's Candide's favorite twin tip.
Yeah.
You know, and like
Yeah.
that's the whole point of this whole line.
Yeah, yeah. And I also can't stand here and say that there are like skis that I like everything about them more than this.
Right.
It's just like this is a pretty unique thing, especially among twin tips, which I
Yeah.
thought was really interesting.
Yeah. No, that's very fair.
Okay.
You want some questions?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Okay. You had mentioned energy and springiness today when we were on the lift.
Yeah.
How does this add to both park and all mountain satisfaction?
I guess in the same way,
Yeah.
because it just gives you the ability to get off the snow surface really quickly.
Right.
And like that for me is 100% a highlight of this ski. So like in the park, it makes like getting up onto a down rail easier.
Yeah.
Because you're loading up energy in the tail, and that's kind of like springing or like ollieing you off the snow surface. So yeah, it does it in the same way.
Like
It's
the quickness and your ability to get off the
the
snow.
quickness,
Yeah.
yeah. And like, you know, in some situations on other skis, you have to like plan ahead more.
Yeah.
But like on this, especially when you're just skiing like around the mountain, just kind of like cruising around, you can do it instantly. So you can just be like, I think I'll jump here.
Yeah.
I think I'll jump here. I think I'll jump again. And it just like, I think that's something that makes it kind of unique.
Good answer. Okay, you have an Unleash 98, a Playmaker 101, an ARW 100, a Fisher Nightstick 97. I think that's all that you have.
This isn't a concept. This is
This is a fact.
This is a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have also skied a Line Chronic 101, a Bent 100, an M3 99, a Faction Mana, a Head Oblivion 101, a K2 Reckoner 102, a Liberty Origin 101, DPS Koala 103.
There's definitely more.
There's
but-
more. That was just kind of off the top of my head
Yeah.
of what you own, what you've skied. How does Candide 101 stand out, and what do you think is the most direct comparison on that list? So how does it stick out,
Oh
and
my
what is the
gosh.
most direct comparison?
Um,
And you can use your previous answer because I think that's a
sticks,
good one.
It sticks out with the longitudinal energy.
Yeah.
It's pop and it's snap. I think it sticks out also in that 30-meter radius. There's not really anything else on there. Oblivion 101
Oblivion,
might
maybe.
be like that has that 30-meter radius underfoot or anywhere.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you're a lightweight, talented, balanced skier like Candide, and you like straight lining, it probably is one of the better straight liners, despite its lack of like overall stability.
Yeah.
It just like it feels comfortable going straight. In the written article, I actually did a similar exercise in like the last paragraph. Can I see your notes?
Yeah, I don't know if you can read my writing. It's the second one.
Yeah, so like Unleashed carves better, is stronger. Playmaker is a better powder ski,
Yep.
and it's a little bit more like, I think edge release is a touch easier on that ski. ARW, similar. It's more supple. It has more vibration damping, and it's softer.
And
Like,
ARV too. I
yep,
wrote ARV.
it
You have that
butters.
graphic.
It
Yeah.
butters better than this ski.
Okay.
Because it just like is more compliant. Nightstick is hands down like more well-rounded. That ski with the metal underfoot and
Yep.
being narrower, it like feels a little bit more just like a general all-purpose all-mountain ski. Chronic 101, very similar, but different rocker profile, and that ski feels like surfier,
Yeah.
less precise, less reactive, and surfier. Bent feels more directional. I think that's like a big thing for me, is that ski, the difference in tip and tail rocker comes through a lot. M-Free is much more like that Playmaker, but more damp. It's kind of like Playmaker plus ARW plus a little bit of strength, I'd say. Mana is like this, but stiffer and heavier. Oblivion is like this, but stiffer and heavier and straighter.
I thought Oblivion would be a good. I thought that was going to be a good one.
It is, but it's like it doesn't. I don't think Oblivion has that same like feedback.
Yeah.
The responsiveness and the energy. Reckoner is softer, more buttery. Origin is like more of a free-ridey ski. Like I find more stability at speed in the Origin. And then Koala is like, I don't know, weird. That ski's damp.
Yeah, it's different.
It's more damp.
And like think about the difference in taper.
Totally.
And Koala
It's like
versus this.
it's way different.
Yeah.
So does that help?
That helps a lot.
Right.
And
so that's why I like this is not my favorite twin tip.
right.
Because I can like there are things I like more about all of those skis.
All of them. Yeah.
So it's just like it's an interesting conversation.
So you think Chronic is? What do you think is the most direct comparison of those?
Might be Chronic.
Just giving people another option if they don't end up being able to get.
It's hard to hard to pick one because I do feel like this ski stands on its own a little bit.
Cool.
But I'd probably say Chronic.
I think that's a good answer. You have a 184. Would you trade it for a 179?
Yes, because I haven't skied that one and it would be fun.
But you don't get to keep that one. You have to give it
Yeah,
back.
I know, but
Okay.
I've already skied this one a lot and like I've had this experience. So I don't know that I would like it more than the 184, which is somewhat unique for me because normally if those are my two options, I'm going 179 every time. But I find that the ease of use in this ski in the 184 is pretty impressive.
Fair enough.
I think 179, I would definitely like jumping on it more. And rails.
Yeah.
So as a park ski, I would probably go 179.
We talked a little bit about softer and deeper snow, like because that's part of resort skiing.
Yeah.
And your experiences in those applications seem to be medium.
In
Is
soft
that
snow?
accurate? Soft or deeper snow?
Oh, I think the experiences were high.
Okay.
They were great. In fact, I put this into the written article too. Whether you're on a groomer or off-piste, the softer the snow, the better the ski feels.
Okay.
In both scenarios.
Yeah, I
so
think
a
that's
pure
fair.
pack powder groomer is going to feel awesome on
Yeah.
this ski, and like bottomless soft snow is going to feel awesome on
Yeah.
the ski. So like again, like as soon as you hit something frozen, it doesn't love it.
All right. Would a Jeff Nagel Pro model differ from this in terms of camber, weight, radius? And part two, if you can change one thing about these, what would it be?
For me,
Yeah.
personally,
So we're erasing Candide and writing in Jeff,
I would just put
How
an
are you changing
I
it?
would put an 18-meter radius throughout the whole ski.
the whole ski,
Yeah,
just to add,
because I like turning,
yeah, you like turning.
which is
Yeah.
like a new thing for me. It feels weird to say, but there was a long portion of my life where like I didn't care
Yeah.
about carving. It was so far down my list of priorities that it wasn't even like on the list of priorities.
Would you add more underfoot camber in your Pro model ski?
I might reduce the length of rocker
Okay,
in
bring
the
it.
101.
Bring it up and down.
I don't think I would change the camber height.
Yep.
Because I think then you'd take away some of its pivoting ability. And I'm nervous about taking away the 30-meter radius too. I just think the way I ski, I wouldn't lose much from the ability to go straight.
Yeah.
And I would gain a little bit just in like general use and enjoyment.
And would you add or take away weight? Or is it
Neither.
perfect as is?
Neither.
Keep
Love
it the
this
same.
weight. Yep.
Okay.
And I feel like that's like, this weight feels like the target weight for most 100 underfoot twin tips.
Right. Like some like bent is a little lighter. And
Yeah, Playmakers in the same league.
Yeah.
Like it feels like that's kind of what manufacturers are shooting for, and I'd say for good reason. It kind of
Yeah.
strikes a nice balance.
Like Chronic's a bit heavier. Remember, like that thing is like surprisingly
yeah,
weighty.
it's like there's something about skiing them that just feels
Yeah.
similar. I don't know why.
Those are my questions.
That was great.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully everyone enjoyed that. If you want to buy a Candide Resort 101, I really hope you can soon. I'd love to be able to sell it to you. It's a weird scenario that we're in.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of demand for these things, so.
Yeah, yep. I know there have been 2 releases in Europe so far, and they sold out really, really quickly. So I think it's a great ski. I just think that you need to be the right skier for it. If you think it's a skier for the masses, I would say you couldn't be further from the truth.
Right.
It's kind of a specific tool, which makes a lot of sense considering Candide as a skier.
And the good news is that, like, on, just rattling off
There's
dozen
so
skis
many options.
in the 100 millimeter twin tip range, like,
so many options.
there's great options. So it doesn't have to be this one.
Totally. Yeah, and they all have their merits.
Yep.
Like we said in the comparison, we're in a golden age of twin tips.
Yeah, it's a great time.
Yeah. So that's it. That is the Candide Resort 101. Let us know if you have any questions, and we will talk to you soon.
Bye.